This workbench is a mess, but this is what we got. I got a nickel ball home. This stuff's overpriced, but I figure I'll barely use any of it. I'll have it for next time I do something, so I'm never gonna stop messing with engines probably. Amazon special rebuild. It's on rebuild kit I can find, honestly. Like this, just a little top end rebuild. Should have all the gaskets, got new rings, new pistons, new wrist pins. So, yeah. No cross hatching, obviously. So, I got at work, he did some, had a little tape at the bottom of the cylinders on there. So he tried to flatten them out, but stuff he had wouldn't quite work like he wanted to, and the other stuff he had was too big. So we're just gonna send it. I think it's probably fine. So guess I'm gonna try my hand at ball honing and see what we get. Been turning time lapse on, but I guess I forgot. So I got the went in and honed up the cylinders. So it's my first time ever doing this right here. Last time I saw this done was probably 15 years ago when my grandpa did it to my 350 Rancher. So hopefully that's good. Pictures I looked at online, I mean, looks about right. So I guess we'll send it. This is cleaning. I'm gonna get it tonight. I'm trying to have a brake cleaner and degreaser. So cross hatching in there. Got the case pretty clean. I mean, it's not really perfect, but this is pretty much a farm implement honestly. So I mean, there's not really a point in cleaning up a whole lot on the outside. Obviously, the inside, the case, clean it out a lot more and flush the bearings out real good. And then once you get all that cleaned up, and I'll put all those bearings back up, and then I'll put the crank and stuff back in. So did a lot of cleaning last night. I got the rods all cleaned up, got them marked A and B, so they go on the same spot on the crank they were before. I got one piston, I got the rings on it. I got the rings for the second piston right here. It says, if it'll focus, it says 1R, 2R, and there's an oil ring. So I'm assuming 1R is with the top ring, 2R is the second ring, and then all the rest of those go in the oil ring slot. So I did some calculations. That's what I did. I got a number off online, honestly. So that's the standard bore, the larger. I went to the larger side of the standard bore. Multiply that with the top ring and that by the second ring, and that's what kind of gap it needs to have. That's a minimum gap on the ring between the two ends. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the oil rings on. So it's got a spot to kind of stop, and I'll set the rings in there and measure them. All right, so I got you on a little closer right here so you can kind of see what's going on. The oil ring, you see right there. That's where it splits, so it's facing up. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing with this new ring right here. See those little tangs on the end are facing up. So I'm gonna put that on the new piston. That's what orientation I'm gonna do it with. So they have piston ring spreader deals. I think I have one in the package in there, honestly, but all I gotta do is just roll it on there. You're good to go. And got these two small oil rings. Look exactly the same. There's no marking on the what will be the top or the bottom, so I guess it doesn't matter. Guess we'll find out, huh? Put that on top right there. You just ease it on there, kind of roll it on there like that. Boom. Pops in place. And go into the bottom one. Alright, it's on the groove, nothing's bound up, it all moves good. So the next step is going to be measuring the second and the third ring. That's what I'm going to do next on here. You see inside of there, there's a little gap right there, you can barely see it. So, to make tools for this also, but a lot of guys just get the piston right here, and they just push it down where the oil ring sits in there. So it'll be, make sure it's not all sideways in there, cocked in the way. It's gonna be 11.5 thousandths. Gonna be real close to that. Let's see if this sucker will slide in there. Probably those filter gauges you get. Just add those together. So that fits in there. It's pretty tight, which you'd expect it to be because it's a little over what the measurement calls for. So there's enough gap in there though, that fits in there good, so we'll be able to throw that second ring on there, that's fine. Hit square again. Pretty square in a way. And that one, the first ring's about 10 thousandths. A little over 10 thousandths, but at 10 thousandths you get plenty of wiggle room. I mean, it's not too tight. I try to put the, let me see if I can fit. Try to fit the 11.5 thousandths in there and see if it'll fit. See, 11.5 thousandths fits too, so that's a little more gap, but you definitely don't want to be, you want to have a little bit more gap than have it too tight, which I know this is on the outer clearance pretty much of the standard bore. It's right on the verge of needing to be bored over, I think 0.25 millimeters or something like that, so it's the next size up, but I think it should be all right. And the guy I talked to that did all the measuring, he said that it should be fine too. He built dirt track motors and stuff, so we'll find out. So both those rings are the right thing, or have the right end gap, I guess I should say. You get the, like I said, you get first, second ring right there. So it's easier to put them on, put that on first, then that one, and that one. If you don't, they'll be binding on each other. So I believe the numbers and letters should be facing up. There's not really a taper or anything. This is just like a square cut piston. So some will have a 45 or something on one side of them. Let's see. Get in there. So the last one, just kind of ease it around. You don't want to force it, but okay. There's that one. It's not binding up, plenty of movement there. It's tight a little bit, which I figured it should be tight. It's brand new. And there's number one right there. Alrighty. Got all the rings, both of those. I'm going to mark this A because that's what cylinder I fit it up to. After some research, the guys on Google say that the diff on top is supposed to go towards the fan. So all I took was a time lapse. I didn't take any pictures of it when I was doing that, when I was taking the motor report. So I don't really have a whole lot to go by besides what they say online. So I guess we'll go with that. So these are what retain your wrist pin inside the piston right there. Got a little wipe down. They're new parts, but they're still could be dirty. So I usually go ahead and throw one of them in. Hopefully I can get that sling it across the shop or the garage today, I guess. But they got a lot of spring tension in them. Get some pliers on that thing. But you can put the wrist pin in before you do this, and do this later on if you want to, but it don't really matter either way, I don't think. Well, they're a booger to get in there, that's for sure. All right. Let's see. There we go, it just snapped in place. Alright, you got that right there. Make sure it's in there good, because you don't want that sucker falling out. Alright. So they said DF was towards the fan. This is A, so I got A rod right here. I'm gonna wipe off a wrist pin. DF towards the fan, so it's like every other hole in life, you never go in dry. Put a little lube on that thing. I'll put a little lube on that too. Alright, like I said, make sure you get the right thing, DF, face towards the fan side's down. Put that bad boy in there. Slide that pin through there. These are floating pins, they go in real easy. There we go. It's a little bit cocked. So there's that. I think it's probably easier to grab this middle part. I don't know what I was doing last time. You got that middle part, you can have a little more range to work on it. That hole. That was way easier. Alright. The pin's in the groove. Make sure all the way around it's in the groove. That sucker's good. So you got diff towards the fan. Nothing binding. Not a whole lot of slack. That one's good to go. I'm going to toss this cap back on. So I'll get them mixed up. Alright, so there's that one. I'm going to put it on time lapse and throw the second one together. There it is. I got both the pistons on the rods. That's all good. The next thing I gotta do is gonna be, I guess, clean the crank off. It's really I gotta clean the bearings out. Inside the, clean those bearings out. Make sure there's no trash or anything in them. Get some brake cleaner to do that, so I have to go to town to do that. But wash those out real good, then re-lube them again, and then I'll be able to put the crank back in. A few hours later, finally got back on it. Got the case cleaned up about as good as I can. There's some staining back there. It's not actually like oil, it's just some staining. So put that back there. I got the bearings all cleaned out. Make sure there wasn't any trash in them. So I'm gonna put some assembly lube in the bearings. Make sure they're all lubed up real good. And tap the new seals in. And then once I do that, I should be able to throw the, I'll probably clean that balance shaft right there. But then once I do that, I can throw that in the crank in. And then start putting the pistons back in. So we go get the crank slid in there. Got the journals lubed up. Those seals, had a little trouble with those because I'm not used to having a hole through there. Usually the ones I have a back where the seal can't go all the way through, but got those in. The crank just sitting there, lubed up. I got to turn in the piston rings. I'm gonna try to make sure they're 120 degrees from each other, and then make sure the small portion of the oil ring isn't overlapping, so we don't have any blow by or anything. I'll lube all that up. Got some oil in the cylinders, on the cylinder walls, just to, I guess, help it break in and make sure it's not just dry rubber in there. Get that far with it. So I'm gonna lube all this stuff up and make sure those rings are right, and then get it all put back together. First one loaded up in the ring compressor, so it's right there. By myself, I put a fan right there, so this is where the fan goes on. The clutch goes on the other side of the motor, so got that in there. I'm gonna get something, I'll probably use the end of a hammer or something like that, something soft, hit the top of that piston, knock it down in there, and ease it down on top of the crank. And I'll torque that one, and then I'll start on the other one. Same thing on the other one. Nothing to it. Well, I got both pistons in the hole, but try to torque these down on the connecting rods, and this piece of junk, 3/8 torque wrench gave out, which go right here. Look at the torque sheet right here for the connecting rod cat bolts. It's like 156 inch-pounds or 13 foot-pounds. So 13 foot-pounds is too low for my 1/2 inch drive, and it's convert to 156 inch-pounds. This only goes to 80 right here, my 1/4 inch drive. So, had luck on that deal. So I guess I don't want to waste any time. So I guess I'm gonna try to put some of the stuff on the side covers and everything, and try to at least make some progress there. So that's what we're gonna do next, I reckon. Alright, here it is disassembled. I mean, it's got a couple bolts in it, but the majority of it's all taken out. All the valve stem seals, all that stuff's out. So I got the valves cleaned up most of the way. A little wire wheel action, a little bit of brake clean. Last night my phone went dead, and this thing was whooping me trying to get these valve stem retainers in. It's soft enough you can push, but trying to push it down and get those little things in between your fingers is the problem. But I got those put on, got the new seal in, put the cam, new head gasket on. I got these ran down lightly. My torque wrench messed up last night, so I got to get a new torque wrench. That's the same bolt I'm in, the last bolt I tried to torque. Get those, get the new torque wrench, and torque that down. And then same thing on the inside. Still waiting on the torque wrench for the rod bolts in here. So just right now I'm just gonna do some cleaning, clean some stuff up, whatever I can clean up. Then I'll go to town later, get a new torque wrench. So hopefully I can get back on this in a few hours. Alright, so when I got a new torque wrench, looking at it, it's the exact same torque wrench that broke on me, so hopefully this one lasts a little bit longer. But one at Walmart wouldn't go low enough. This one right here goes low enough on the torque specs. Alright, so the connecting rod cap bolts, which is these bolts right here, bottom of the connecting rod. They are 16.6 and no, wait. 12.3, 14.5 foot-pounds, which most of these smaller 3/8 ones are going to be inch-pounds, so you just convert that over. It's going to be 156 inch-pounds. So usually what I do is put it at like half, 3/4 of the torque setting, and I'll kind of snug it up by hand, then do that, and I'll go to the final torque setting. I don't know if that really matters, but it kind of ensures it gets up there kind of flat. That's the way I look at it anyway. It's definitely not going to hurt anything, so take a little more time. So it's 156 inch-pounds. I'll go to like 130 or so. 132 right there. All right. Throw a little light cut on them. Doesn't make no hurt anything. Alright, now the final torque. 156 inch-pounds. A little bit of math. These right here, these inch-pounds, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it doesn't go up. You know, it goes from 120 to 140. So each one of these increments, it isn't just 1 foot-pound, it's, or 1 inch-pound, it's 12 inch-pounds. So I guess it is a foot-pound technically, but you got to think about 12. So you got 120, you go up 156. So you want had to go up 3. So 1, 2, 3. It's going to be 36 over 120, which would be 156. Kind of threw me off when I first started using these torque wrenches, but it's not that hard once you do it a few times. Remember what you gotta go by. Alright. That's final torque on that one. I'll back it back down to where it was earlier. Good. Also pay attention to the bottom, because like right there's a little nipple there, what do you want to call it? A little notch, something. Match it up. That goes towards the fan. So there's another one on the bottom of the connecting rod. It's on the piston inside of here. So make sure all that lines up too. Alright, those are good and torqued. Nothing's binding up. So, good there. So I guess the next step, gotta toss this, not that, toss this balance bar in there. Just some little dots right there you gotta line up. Gotta clean this thing first, but some dots you gotta line. I'm gonna clean this up real quick and then I'll try to bring it in and show you what I'm talking about with the dots. Got this cleaned up. Hopefully you can see that line I was talking about right there. There's a line right there. That's where that dot is. And this shaft right here will go up in there. And then those two dots right there, got the lines drawn so it's easier to see. Look at those two dots right there. Those should be on either side of that. Keep the motor balanced. I'll put something else on the other side. Oh yes, that's good. Just roll the seal over, no big deal. I don't know why this seal is catching my lip. This one seal is the one that caused me the most trouble. I pulled it in and out probably 3, 4, 5 times, just trying to figure out why it wasn't working. Trying to push it back in place, trying to move it around, trying to get the seal off. I mean, looking at it, I was looking at it right there, and it put some more lube on there, and then I realized the spring had popped out, so I got the spring back in there, lubed up some more. I figured I'd lube into the shaft, see if that helped a little bit. But it was still kind of rolling the lip over for some reason. So, kept fighting with that, and then also trying to fight with the fact that the gears in the back weren't lining up quite right. To get that going in, the seal to sit flush. But finally it worked on it a while. Finally got it lined up, got everything set in place, and called it good. Good there. All right. we go. Those two lines matching up. Roll it over. Matching up again. All right, good there. Let me double check the book, make sure that's how I'm supposed to do it. I would definitely recommend when you're working on something, go ahead and print off. This isn't the whole service manual, it's just the parts I thought I'd need, so I didn't have everything, but print off some of it, because this sucker comes in handy, especially if you're trying to video with my phone. It's a lot easier just to go and do it like this right here. Yeah, there we go. That picture right there. With the double dot, single dot on that side. Just gotta make sure they mesh like that, so it's good there. We'll wipe this out one more time, make sure it's all good. Clean the sealing face off. I'll go ahead and put that gasket on there. Then I'll kind of clean the oil pump. I'm going to pull it apart, clean it out real good, clean the rotor and stuff. I can do that after I put it on. Either way. Get this cleaned up, put the gasket on, and then put that side cover back on after I clean this inside out. Put the gasket on there, and I put that RTV on there just a little bit, just a real thin coat, just so I could, just on the tops up here, so that I could get it, try to get it lined up with that O-ring, because that O-ring's supposed to seal. Let's see where it seals at. It seals on that port right there. So, not that, yeah, that port. I'm pretty sure. Well, it's the discharge of the oil pump. Look, it discharges out the oil pump, and it goes that way, right there. And I think it also goes that way right there to the oil hole right there in the crank to lube the bearings and everything on there. I guess not bearings, lube the rods, you should say. So, definitely want to make sure all that's good. Wipe everything out one more time. Just on the sealing surfaces and the faces and stuff. Alright. Should be good, which probably doesn't matter, but down on the bottom, that's where there's suction of the oil pump. It's gonna suck up there. That rotor meshes together, that's what causes your oil pressure, is those gears meshing together. And then the discharge pressure, like so, go here. Go there, and I guess that right there should be where you could put a gauge on there and see how much oil pressure you have, which I don't know what normal oil pressure is, but might mess with that at some point, I don't know. But slide this bad boy on, maybe. We're hitting that one. Doing something wrong here? Oh, yes. Dumb. I just gotta pull that dang nut off first. Alright, get that big nut off of there. That cover should slide on now. That was the issue. This shoulder, this nut, slightly bigger than that, so it wouldn't be able to slide over. So. side cover on. Got all those bolts torqued. I just need to tighten that one, but all the regular side cover bolts are tight. Actually, I tracked that one down. I had it on the wrong piece of cardboard, but either way, all those are on good. I'm gonna clean the oil pump off a little bit. Lube it back up. And it should be good. That's what I'm saying, that little gear, that meshing right there, that's what makes the oil pressure. So as it spins, that's what makes oil pressure. So that's a piece in the middle right there, that balance shaft, which is also to balance it, because these pistons go up at the same time, so it'd be really, vibrate a lot more without that balance shaft, but that balance shaft also drives the oil pump. That little piece right there goes in there. That's what, actually causes it to spin. That's what makes oil pressure. Clean that up a little bit. That looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and I'm going to lube it back up before I put it in there, so it won't be dry when we start it up. There's that. All right. Maybe I can spin it over, so I was talking about. Yeah, so as it spins, the mesh right there's that oil pushing out. That's where the oil pressure is going to come from right there. So. So my microphone died. Sound quality might not be as good, but I ain't got time to wait on them things to charge. So next step's gonna be messing with the valve train, I reckon. I don't know which one I took out first. Is it the cam, or if it was the actual rocker arm and stuff, but either way. I'll try to toss that stuff in. Be that much closer to running this thing. So that, put those on there. Now slide the cam in. What we're fixing to find out. Just gonna level this stuff up real good, all the lobes. The surfaces it rides on too. Load those up real good. Just make a mess. Here we go. Cut these rockers all the way, almost as loose as they can go. That's all good. I have to adjust those filter gauges whenever we get around to that point. Next step is I got this cover right here for this other cam. Find that gasket, toss it on real quick. I guess I'll clean this up, put it on, then I'll put that on. Alright, not perfect, but good enough for who it's for. Get it cleaned up. Alright, click that down. Snazzy. Alright, so I finally found the filter gauge I needed. Over 4 inches. So the picture right there, you got it on the right on the base circle, the cam lobe. I'm gonna go ahead, get all these set up, then I'll put the timing belt on. I think it'll be easier to do it without the timing belt, so you don't have to worry about spinning the whole motor over. You can just turn it by hand like this. A whole lot easier, I feel like. So we got this picture right here. So this is line it on the keyway with the dot on the cover there, and you got that dot right there aligned to the top of that cover there. So there's the keyway right there, that little squared off part. That pretty close to lined up. Get the hole on top, line up with that little groove on the top. So anytime you do a timing chain or anything like that, I just want to rotate it over. I'm trying to think which way this daggum thing goes. It's gonna go like this. That's the way it's supposed to go right here. So it's gonna at least 1 or 2 cycles. Make sure everything lines back up just like it's supposed to. I'll mark this tooth right here. When it's on, so. Last night I was installing the belt and the timing belt, and the phone ran out of memory, and then it died shortly after. So just kept on working on it, doing little stuff like putting the timing cover on, and I went in and put the cover back on over here, put the coil back on, put a couple new spark plugs in. Pretty easy stuff. I don't think anybody wants to watch that crap, so did that. Still need to put the clutch back on, but I don't have a tool for that. I don't know if you can use a bolt or not to kind of run it down like that, but I need to have full thread engagement, so you don't worry about stripping the threads out of your crank. Figure that out, but I got a brand new Chinesium carburetor, so I guess the next thing I'll do is just toss that on and see how it runs straight out of the box. These things are kind of hit and miss, I think, so we will see how it goes. I'm doing a video of the whole carburetor install and everything, but there's so many layers. You got this piece right here, and a spacer. You got a gasket, spacer, gasket, a heat shield, a gasket, then the carburetor. Then this thing right here goes on there too. So I mean, you know, that was the pictures that I had taken to make sure I put it in the right order. But we'll just bolt it down now, and should be good there. One thing I did on this Chinese carburetor was I had to bend this piece down because it's real close to the bottom of the bowl, the screw on the bowl, and I didn't want it kind of deflecting and making this seal up here not very good. And I turned the bowl, I guess about a little over 180 degrees or something like that, towards this way where I could get the screw under here easier. It's easier to access this side right here than it is that side usually. So, got that on there. I tossed another gasket on there. And put this big rig on there. Boom. There we go. I think that's it. All right, all the pieces on there got gasket, spacer, gasket, heat shield, gasket, carburetor, gasket, and then the air filter hose adapter. So all that stuff together. It says like 5 foot-pounds on this, so got 60 inch-pounds. Probably a little higher, probably about 70 or 75, just because I really don't want a vacuum leak right here. So. Alright, so I got heat shield back on, spark plugs back in, torque down, spark plug wires on. Just kind of still trying to pull spark plugs out again, but really, I'd much rather find out about this before I put it in the golf cart, because this back side's kind of hard to get to. So, got all that back together. I guess the only thing I can do right now, besides, or the only thing I can do is put that clutch on. Everything else is, I mean, that's about all I can do. Everything else, so. So online for an installer, I don't see any kind of install tools or anything else. All the forms are just saying what the torque spec is. So I guess just slide on there and see how much thread engagement we have. And if we got plenty of thread engagement, I guess just send it. I don't really know, honestly. We got the shaft cleaned off, so got the shaft and the inside of this cleaned off, good and dry. I said install it dry, so. Let's see what we got. I guess that's it. There's plenty of bolt there. I don't know. This is different than stuff I've ever messed with for sure. Run that down. Snug, I guess. put the torque wrench on it. Click. Good to go. Yes, I'm going to try to throw this motor in here. I'm sure it'll go real smoothly. Nope, definitely not. Alright. Try to pick it up. You got the front mount's on a rubber piece, so it's kind of flopping around. This back piece is kind of just held up with this ratchet strap, so maybe I can almost like to have it up like this right here, where you can drop it in, and then the bolts will flatten it out. Spins over now. I'm gonna pull the spark plugs out, pull the valve cover off, and just prime it real good. Definitely won't hurt anything. Do that. You love to take them out now. I just love pulling these spark plugs out. That's what I mean. I'm getting pretty good practice at it. Once I've done this before I even turned it over at all, I want you to get that whole starter situation. Pull the plugs out, pull that valve cover off, and I can verify we got enough oil pressure, make sure the oil's getting to the top. all that good jazz. Already put 4.5 in there. Check the level, it's all good. Zip this old cover off real quick. I don't have any fuel or ignition to it right now. Just gonna sit there and spin. Oh yeah, already got oil up there. Oh well, no, I'm retarded. Never mind. That is from pouring it in there. Probably when there's oil up there. All right. Let's see what we got. I'm not sure how much oil usually flows up here, but I was just thinking oil squirters. They definitely work though. Definitely work. We got oil up here. That's good. Sweet. I want to run a little more, but it's gonna make a big mess. So that's good. Verified oil pressure. I think she's ready. That sucker, I don't know why that sucker backfed up to the carb like that, but running pretty good, seems like. That snap in your ear is gonna the clutch primary slam together because I haven't put this on yet. But put that dog on there. We'll put the seat on there and right. What time is it? 4 o'clock. There we go, it's a hot rod. Let's see if we can rip this thing. Runs. I forgot the skid plate, so I took the 4 bolts off the bottom, main mounting bolts, pull those back off, and put the skid plate back on. I gotta tidy up the fuel system. Few little covers you gotta put on there, but air filter, stuff like that. Got a little bit of stuff I gotta throw back on there, but it does run, so definitely a good sign when you pull something apart, put it back together, and it actually does run. And that carburetor is good out of the box, so that's pretty good too. I think I'm gonna call it here probably. And that's probably enough golf cart that you want to watch me put on a air filter and a skid plate. But if y'all watch this long, if y'all stayed this long and watched this, watch both these videos, I sure appreciate it. And we'll have a few more out pretty soon. Thank y'all for watching.